I think the younger generation needs to pick up where we leave off, frankly. They need to be aware of what's happening to the wildlife. They need to be aware of all the horrible things that happen around the world to the animals, because basically, unless you think positive and you do something about it, there's not going to be much left. And I'd like them to take up the reins and just to raise awareness and do what they can. You don't know what you can do until you try. You might be able to do something tomorrow. You might not know anything about wild animals tomorrow, but go and find out what's happening to these animals, the rhinos and the tigers and the elephants and the bears and everything out there, all the exotic species. Find out what's happening, and maybe one day you can go ahead and do something which might make a real difference and save a lot of animals' lives.
Well, I obviously agree totally with Mary, but I'd like to say that my attitude to the world environment has changed over the last few years, and it's changed because I see now that more and more young people, particularly Australians that I'm involved with, are getting more involved with our environment and conservation in general, and they have all these new ideas and these better way of doing things than us that were around have been around a long time. And Mary would probably agree with me that it's nice to have younger people coming in with new ideas, a better way of making our environment better. And let's face it, Mary's right. Mary and I are not doing what we do for ourselves. We're doing what we do for our children and our grandchildren. But we now pass the baton over to those young people, and it's up to them now to carry on and hopefully do a heck of a lot better than we've done in the past.
Absolutely.
Yes, you would.
In a heartbeat.
So would I.
Absolutely, so would Bob. How can you back away from something that has struck your very being from the very beginning? And the more you learn about things, the way animals suffering and the environment being decimated literally in some countries, how can you walk away with that? Because there's more you can do tomorrow. And the passion, I think, and the feeling I've got for the animals, and I think that's what keeps me going as well. You have to, your back's to the wall virtually. And there's only one way forward. I know Bob feels the same.
Yes, I do. And, I'd say to people, come and have a look at Marley. Come and have a look at Marley in her cage, and I got the opportunity today to feed Marley some honey, and she's licking honey off my fingers and making a heck of a mess of everything. but and then if you visualise Marley in a bile farm, or Marley with her paws cut off, that doesn't bear thinking about, does it? And that's why we do what we do, and that's why a lot of people do what they do. They don't have to have a financial reason to do it. They do it because they need to do it, because they want to do it. And both Mary and I will continue until we can't do it any longer, I'm sure.
You have to have hope things are going to improve. Absolutely, you have to have hope. You can't be disillusioned, and you can't be negative. There's too much work to be done out there to say, oh, this is hopeless, I'm giving up. You have to have hope and trust that something will happen where we'll all live in an ideal world, which is difficult at the moment to believe. But when you see bears that come in to the sanctuary that have been abused and ill-treated, and you see them being rehabilitated as well, that makes a difference, and that's what I hope as well. We can help all these bears and other animals out there that have been abused and looked after when they come into the sanctuary, and they turn into good, confident, healthy animals.
I'm not sure how to answer it really. It actually gets into your system, and every now and again, and I'm sure Mary would feel the same, that when she gets to close down a bile farm and she gets those bears out of there and gets them into a nice little sanctuary where they've got a decent life for the rest of their, for the rest of their natural life, and they've got a better way to live and how bears should be, then that makes it all worthwhile and it makes you feel pretty good. And I get to hold a lot of Australian native animals, and to being a wildlife carer from way back many years ago when I was, and I still get that opportunity, and even when I'm asked to release a marine turtle that's been in captivity and it's had the floating disease and can no longer swim and can't dive anymore and it's going to die a slow death, and then that gets taken into care and gets looked after, and these beautiful people get it back to where it should be, and I get the opportunity to see this thing swim back to where it belongs. How much better than that does it get?
I'd give it a go.
Of course you would. Anybody that can handle bears can handle crocodiles.
Absolutely.
Can't you?
I'm with you, Bob.
Yeah, all the way.
Have a rest.
You can have a rest now, Mary.
I don't think I'd do anything differently. I'd probably still be looking after 2 kids over the river because mother's gone to work, and I'd still be cooking for my husband. I'd still be doing this and the normal things. But I must say, doing this, getting into helping bears or whatever it's called, I've met a lot of amazing, wonderful people. Bob has always been on the top of my list as a wonderful person. I can't speak highly enough of him. He's just an amazing, inspirational person. And I've met a lot of other wonderful people overseas, and the local people as well, who've come to work in our sanctuaries and given them an income. We've made so much difference to their lives as well. And I'd like to say it's a great big thank you to all the people out there that are looking after the animals, to go out on a daily trip to help release a bear, to help look after a crocodile, to help no matter what they do. There's a lot of wildlife warriors out there, and I'd like to think that I could say thanks to them as well. Absolutely.
Because you haven't done it alone, really, have you?
I've had a wonderful team. You can't do anything like this by yourself. It would have been impossible. I did it for 8 years and ended up in the chemist shop where I couldn't find my trolley, the shopping trolley. I thought something's got to give here. I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah, look, the only thing I do different is get a better education. And I stress that on young people today. Get the best education you can get and then make a decision on where you want to be in life. And if you work hard enough and if you believe in it enough, then you'll be able to do it. And I think young people today have got to believe in themselves, and that's the most important thing they can do. I can remember Steve coming to me one day. He came up and we had a barbecue and he's talking to me. This is many years ago, of course. And this was before the big croc thing was done at the zoo. And he came up to me and he said, "Dad, I've got all these plans and I want to build this crocoseum. Never been done before in the world." And he said, "All these guys are telling me it can't be done." And I said to him, "Steve, you should know by now that you never listen to experts. If you believe in it enough, if you believe it'll work, then get out there and do it." And he did. And it was the first time in the world that he got crocodiles to do what could be done on command virtually, to come out into a crocoseum area and be fed and do the things for the people and educate the people on crocodiles. And that was, that just shows that if young people have these good ideas, get out there and get stuck into it and use them. Don't take any notice of people that say you can't do it, because you can.
Not in a million years.
Well, I think working with kids, and you look today when we were down there with Marley the bear, and you look at those little kids' faces and how much they enjoyed watching the bear and watching the other animal, and it's all part of the education, and that's the important bit, because that's why we do what we do. We don't do it for us.
That's right.
It's for the kids to come along next, and hopefully they'll be able to do better than we did.
I haven't rescued 900 bears.
We've got a long way to go though, haven't we?
That's going to be a hard number to top.
It's not rescuing the bears that's the hardest problem. It's changing the attitude of the people.
What
That's
is
the
hard is
bit.
feeding 900 bears with honey.
Oh, come on, Mary, you can do it
We've got to
easy.
have a long supply of honey.
How many jars of honey?
Hundreds. Hundreds. They all love it.
It's all good. It's all good. When you see little snippets, and I have only seen little snippets that Amanda's shown me of those sanctuaries over there with the bears that you've rescued. It just makes you feel good. It makes you feel like, wow, there's somebody out there doing some good stuff, and then you think, well, if those bears weren't in that sanctuary, they'd be either getting their paws chopped off, or they'd be draining bile, or doing all these awful things to them. And but the hardest thing is we got to change the culture of the people. That's the difficult bit. Oh, she should be. Goodness me.
Yeah, I'm proud of what we've done. I'm proud of what we've all done, the team and everybody.
Wow.
I'm very proud.
What a silly question, Amanda.
Well, you tell me all the time about things you wish you could have done better and
Well, I do.
whatever else.
I do. I mean, it doesn't matter how much I've done. I get annoyed sometimes that, I think back on it and I think, oh, bloody hell, Robert. Why didn't you get your act together sooner and do a bit, get stuck into it? No, seriously. I had time there when, I didn't do much with wildlife at all, and that was a waste. It was just a waste of time because I got my priorities wrong.
That's what I felt. I felt angry. I was angry because I didn't know, and I thought if I'd have known this a long time ago, I could have done a bit more. I didn't know what I was going to be able to do then, but I thought, golly, I've learnt about this when I've been 60, and I thought what I could have done if I'd have known about this before.
Exactly.
With the bears, I'd like to see all the biofarms closed down because the biofarms are horrendous places. The bears suffer immeasurably. The bile is taken from the gallbladder and they're in pain all the time. They're not fed proper food. I'd like to see all the biofarms closed down. That's from Vietnam to Laos to other countries that have these farms as well. I'd like to see all the illegal wildlife trade stopped, the poaching stopped, because until that happens, we're always going to have more bears to rescue, or endangered species are gradually going to die out. That's my ultimate aim, but strictly concentrating on the bears. The biofarms have got to be closed, and the wildlife trade's got to be stopped, and the illegal poaching. It's all one thing after another, and it's going to take a lot of work. I'd like to see that happen ultimately. It's asking a lot. It's asking a lot.
Wouldn't that be a marvellous thing if you could see in your lifetime that those things came about? Mary, thanks for your time. I can't thank you enough. Just to meet somebody with your get up and go and your achievements that you've done over the years is just, it just makes me feel really, really good. And I thank you very much for the opportunity. I really do.
Thank
I
you,
think you're
Bob.
amazing. You're an amazing young lady.
My thoughts are reciprocated.